certainly do appreciate everyone's attendance today. We have a lot of business here on a beautiful fall day here in Michigan.
We're missing one trustee. We'll wait just a second.
Yep, we're going to wait just a minute. We're missing one trustee on his way down. So, make sure I have the right remarks. Okay. Who wants to talk about their vacation? Come on.
How about a dad joke? Okay, here's a dad joke. How do electric cars go to war? They charge.
Yeah. This is the university. We could make each college stand up and tell a joke. Just to engage everybody. Okay, thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. This is the first board meeting of the fall semester and also our first opportunity to be in the beautiful Student Center. Secretary Schuman, do we have a quorum?
Chair Edgerton, we do.
And is it live streaming?
We do have a thumbs up from Jacob. Yes, we are
Okay,
live streaming.
thank you. At this time, I'd like to call on the board for a motion to accept today's agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you. And are there any comments from the trustees regarding our June 29th minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right. Oops, sorry. Before we dive into today's agenda, I'd just like to take a moment to reflect on the memory and legacy of our trustee, Shawnee Penn. Her unexpected passing in August was a big loss to our institution and to our community. And I want to acknowledge the beautiful memorial that was held on Tuesday for Trustee Penn. I know a lot of you were present for the event. It featured remarks from Trustee Williams, our shared governance partners, Shawnee's sorority sisters from Delta Sigma Theta, and Shawnee's mother, Sylvia Penn. We presented Shawnee's family with a leadership legacy resolution during the ceremony, and we'll be voting to accept that resolution. As we know, Shawnee had deep roots here as a Bronco and with Southeast Michigan. She was a brilliant political advisor, a successful businesswoman, and a passionate supporter of our university. Shawnee was appointed to the board in 2016, and her service as vice chairwoman has made us all better trustees of this great institution. It's up to each of us to carry on her work through our efforts and her leadership. Her legacy will forever be a part of Western Michigan University. And at this time, I'd like to just ask for a moment of silence in remembrance of Trustee Penn. Thank you. Today we have a full agenda. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Carol Cartwright, a highly respected voice in higher education and the former president of Bowling Green State University and Kent State University, for guiding our board through a retreat this week. actually yesterday, where we worked on enhancing our skills as they relate to our fiduciary responsibilities and areas of oversight. The retreat was very productive, and we're going to continue to make progress as we optimize resources and work on governance. I'd also like to thank our partners at Plant Moran for their assistance in guiding us through a university-wide audit. Audits help us improve efficiency, identify potential risk exposures, and support sound decision-making. We'll be hearing a report on that process from Trustee Turfey. Trustee Turfey will also lead us through a recommendation on the Presidential Compensation and Assessment Committee. I'd also like to thank Trustee Holdley for his efforts on the Audit Committee. As I mentioned at the top of the meeting, we presented the family of Shawnee Penn with a leadership legacy resolution in her memory, and we're going to formally vote on that resolution later in the board action items. With that also comes the election of a new vice chair, for which Dr. Schumann will lead us through that exercise. We have several presentations today. First up will be President Montgomery, who's going to share some updates from around the campus and also acknowledging a number of employees who received degrees this summer while employed at Western Michigan University. I'd like to congratulate those employees because I know that's a difficult thing to be working and also obtaining degrees. We'll also be hearing from our shared governance partners once again, and we appreciate the efforts in working with us. Jan Vanderklay, our Vice President for Business and Finance, has 2 items on the agenda today, and we'll be providing a presentation on our 5-year capital outlay project list. And noted is our number 1 priority at this time for the campus is the renovations and additions to Noss Hall, which was built in 1971 and requires some significant updates. She'll also be introducing and leading us through an action item regarding the conveyance of facilities at Lake Michigan College. This property previously served as a regional center and has most recently been operating with limited use by Western. We're also going to hear from Provost Vasquez Helig on the continuation of a lease agreement for Hayworth College of Business. It's the Starting Gate initiative. Starting Gate provides resources to student entrepreneurs and connects them to experts in the community who can move their businesses forward. Finally, Vice President for Student Services, Diane Anderson, will present an action item to formally recognize Gamma Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, the first historically African-American fraternity on Western's campus. The fraternity will be celebrating its 75th Diamond Jubilee anniversary during a weekend in October. At this time, I'd like to call on President Montgomery to share his remarks. The microphone's all yours.
Thank you, Chair Edgerton. I'm not trying to be Barry White here, but my voice is at that point. I would like to echo your sentiments about the loss of Trustee Penn. She really was a tireless advocate for our students and a warm and wonderful person. Her passing leaves a profound void on this campus. So even as we turn to mourn, we must strive to advance her legacy and continue the work of empowering students to learn so they find meaningful careers and enjoy fulfilling lives. Turning now to the start of the academic year, I'm happy to share that it's off to a great start. We recently celebrated the grand opening of this wonderful new student center, a place that will foster growth, collaborations, and togetherness. To see the level of activity out there is really a testament to this world-class facility and its ability to promote inclusiveness and support all those who come. There's going to be a building dedication ceremony immediately following this, and I look forward to having everybody there. But kudos to all those who worked on building this building and bringing it to where it really is a dream come true. We're also celebrating the 41st anniversary of my favorite tradition, which is Bronco Bash. I even got a popcorn bucket this year, but it brought together about 17,000 students. It really is a great way for people to find their own community, and you see it on the students' faces as they find their new interests. They find connectivity with their peers. There was a great dunking tank. Where's Chief Merlot? I heard he got a cold bath several times, but in any case. So again, a great time was had by everybody. I just wanted to share some updates concerning our fall 2023 enrollment retention rates. You may recall that last year we enrolled the largest freshman class in several years. I'm proud to say that not only did we enroll that student, but we retained 79.8% of them. That's a retention rate that's only been exceeded once in the last 23 years. So hats off to all of those people who worked on that. We continue to want to present opportunities for all of our populations, all of our students, and so we're proud that we continue to make some progress in retention rates for African American students. It jumped 3.1 percentage points, and that's on top of a 5.2 percentage points jump that we saw last year. So not where we want to be, but steady progress. People would be commended for that. For Hispanic students, retention rates jumped 3.9%. Again, hats off to people for progress on that. Looking at other sides of the enrollment picture, graduate enrollment jumped 7.2%. That's the biggest enrollment jump in the history of the campus. Again, particularly the College of Education deserve credits, but also does College of Engineering, Health, and I think Arts and Science, Fine Arts also helped in that regard. So hats off to all of them. We continue to operate in a challenging world. If you look at the states who've got the most challenging demographics and enrollment, we're number 2, and that's not the place we want to be. That means we are the second most challenging of all states out there. But it's really a collective effort and a testament to everybody in this room and on this campus who are working together to both attract students and then equally, if not more importantly, to help them succeed when they come to the campus. So I want to offer my thanks for that. Some really other notes and accolades that need to go out. First goes to Julian Jones. He's the Western Senior Associate Athletic Director for Broncos Empowered and Championship Culture. In his very first year on the staff, he received the One MAC Administrator of the Year Award from the Mid-America Conference. This award is a testament to the great work of our student-athletes-led diversity task force with leadership from Julian, Dr. Candy McCorkle, Dr. Lucera Wallace, and Kiana Smith. So thanks to Julian, thanks to everybody. That's what he does his first year. Let's see how he can top that his second year. No pressure. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the Department of English professor, Jonathan Bush, and his English education students. This past spring, Dr. Bush and his students offered a series of workshops for the Kalamazoo Public School students who were writing application essays to the Kalamazoo Community Foundation Scholarship Portal. In addition to helping these students with their scholarship essays, they also gave advice and mentoring to these college students about what college life was like. There was great success. We recently learned from the Community Foundation they awarded over $26,000 in scholarships to those students who participated in Professor Bush's workshop. So hats off to them, his students, for this good effort. WMU's ROTC program, again, was named the top program in the Lower Peninsula, third in the Midwest, 17th in the country, in the whole country, for ROTC Summer Cadet Training Program in Fort Knox, which brings together ROTC program from clean across the country. 13 of our students received outstanding or excellent marks. So congratulations to ROTC students and their leadership. Tomorrow, we're going to be celebrating some other awards for our faculty and staff, including the Emerging Scholar Award, the Distinguished Teacher Award, Distinguished Service Award, Distinguished Faculty Scholar Award. We'll have an Excellence in Diversity Awards, and we'll have the annual recipients of our Make a Difference Awards will also be honored at 11 o'clock in the Fetzer Center in the Kirsch Auditorium. So hopefully people will come out to see that and honor our award-winning faculty and staff. Another celebration coming up is called Fall Convocation, and that is what this is just talking about. So that will be part of that ceremony. Want to make sure that as part of that we acknowledge some of our students who made great excellence, particularly in the category of diversity. Leah Latumarasa. Yes, she is the diversity chair for WUSA. She has been active in a variety of student organizations, and she's led that effort, and we want to thank her as well as to congratulate her on her great work and organizational skills. Also want to thank the City of Kalamazoo for its ongoing work to enhance lighting on West Michigan Avenue and Fraternity Drive. Those efforts will help improve our safety. So I know we have a full agenda. I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, President Montgomery. At this time, I would like to welcome our shared governance partners. First, from the Faculty Senate, Dr. Shira Sami.
Good morning. Chair Edgerton, members of the board, President Montgomery, colleagues, and guests. On behalf of Western Michigan University's Faculty Senate, thank you for the opportunity to address the board and update you on our activities. The administration recently approved 2 MOAs, MOA 2003 WMU syllabus requirements and MOA 2104 revision of accelerated graduate degree programs. In July, the executive board accepted the resignation of Director Kyle Jensen from the College of Aviation and appointed Chair of Civil and Construction Engineering, Osama Abadiah, as director. Recently, the Faculty Senate Executive Board seated 2 ad hoc committees for work on Senate initiatives this academic year. Those 2 centers are centers and 2 ad hoc committees are Centers and Institutes and Artificial Intelligence. Throughout September, the Faculty Senate councils and committees are convening their first academic year meetings. This includes each council and committee receiving charges from the executive board. A few examples of those charges include the following. The Academic and Information Technology Council will provide recommendation on how part-time faculty may retain access to WMU software between semesters, or maybe when they teach fall and then they don't teach again until summer 1, so we'll have continued access. The Campus Planning and Finance Council will report on the current processes for WMU enrollment forecasting and to understand its impact on recruitment and retention. The International Education Council plans to promote greater internationalization of the curriculum and faculty research by developing mechanisms, external campus resources, and innovation programs such as the Fulbright Scholar in Residence, the Scholar Rescue Fund, reciprocal faculty exchanges, study abroad programs, and global classroom initiatives. The Graduate Studies Council and the Undergraduate Studies Council are collaborating to define and recommend implementation practices for cross-level courses. These are courses that serve both graduate and undergraduate students. The first Faculty Senate meeting of the year will be next Thursday, October 5th in Ballroom A, which I think is right over there. Please join us in person. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to take them.
Any questions? Anything for Sarah? Sarah, thank you and your colleagues for all the work they put in on the efforts. Thank you. Next up, Ms. Kayla Bird from WSA.
Hello all. Good morning, Chair Edgerton, members of the board, and all those in attendance. I am so honored and privileged, and every single time that I have opportunities such as this, my heart explodes. It is amazing to be able to speak with all of you and inform you of what is happening with the student body. The beginning of the year has been incredibly busy. As President Montgomery said, with the grand opening of the Student Center, students have been connecting from all corners of campus. So much so that in the fall semester alone, there are over 800 reservations, most of which from student organizations. In addition, students have been showing up. Bronco Bash, even through the rain, received over 100 new table registrations for this year and quite literally encompassed the whole campus. Events such as the Back to School Bash hosted by Campus Activities Board had incredible attendance, and WSA itself has had near record-breaking attendance, clocking in at almost 120 participants during our General Assembly meetings. It is clear that student engagement and socialization are on the rise. When my slate ran for office, we focused on 3 main goals that we believed were important for the student government: advocate, communicate, and engage. To arrive at these 3 goals, we considered a comprehensive list of areas we believe the student government should be focused on, such as, but not limited to, diversity, sustainability, equity, accessibility, collaboration, transparency, accountability, education, and more. From that list, we firmly believe that advocacy, communication, and engagement encompass all these vital aspects, and we carefully selected our cabinet to share these priorities, ensuring a strong foundation for the school year ahead. Firstly, advocacy. As student government leaders, we have the unique position to convey student thoughts, opinions, frustrations, and concerns to faculty, administration, and even the Board of Trustees. Ergo, we plan to uphold this value and advocacy within the vision of WSA, empowered students, empowering students. We are committed to uplifting and supporting the student voice, breaking down barriers, and fostering open and honest communication. Increasing communication is our second goal. We want to ensure that every student knows they have a voice and that there are ears willing to hear and listen. Personally, this goal resonates with me because when I started at Western, I did not know that there was a student government. And in fact, I only got involved last year. Therefore, we are actively investing in events for student engagement, such as the RSO Summit that my predecessor, Chang Kid-sun, begun. It is through events like these that students can invest in themselves. I would like to formally say thank you to Trustee Williams for delivering an engaging keynote address, as well as the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Dr. McCorkle, for hosting a workshop session, and the Vice President and Associate Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Anderson and Dr. Ravindran, for their uplifting words opening the event. Thank you all for assisting us in bridging the gap in communication with students. More on communication, we are establishing a connectivity committee to work on connecting RSOs and student leaders, and we will be introducing, when I find time in my schedule, office hours so that student voices can be heard, fostering connection, collaboration, and engagement. This leads me to my final point, engagement. As we all know, student engagement has faced challenges, exacerbated by the impact of COVID-19. Many students juggle work and classes, with almost half of them involved in full-time jobs. In that way, there is limited room for fun. That's why our administration is focusing on improving engagement and finding ways to bring students together. We are building upon the Connectivity Committee's recommendation and exploring how to support them. As stated before, the opening of the Student Center has been a significant step in the right direction, but we are determined to do more. I once heard a student leader say, "Students don't love Western." To that student and others who may feel the same way, we want you to know that we hear you and we are actively working to enhance engagement, uplift Bronco pride, and perhaps revive some old traditions while creating new ones. We are currently in the process of formalizing these goals into a bill of administrative priorities, which we plan to present at our next voting meeting on Wednesday, October 4th. This way, students will know that we are working for them and alongside them. Through these 3 goals, the work is endless, but not impossible. In the goal of advocacy, I would like to conclude by asking everyone in this room to keep an eye out for the leaders that you believe are doing a good job, and tell them so. Being a leader is hard, and everyone is struggling with something. That recognition may be all they need to keep fighting in whatever struggle they may be going through. Thank you for this opportunity to update you all. I encourage you to please stay involved with upcoming events such as Civic Engagement Week this week, Mental Health Week next week, Homecoming on October 13th, and so much more. Let us move forward together with Bronco pride. Onward for the brown and gold.
Thank you, Kayla. Questions? Anyone?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Just to clarify, you mentioned half of the students here have full-time jobs, is that right?
A good majority, not majority, but approximately 40% have full-time
okay.
jobs while taking full-time classes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to our shared governance department. Oh, gosh, thank you, Kayla. Thank you for those reports. I'd now like to invite President Montgomery again to recognize the WMU employee graduates.
Thank you, Chair Edgerton. The following 12 Western employees earned their degrees over the summer semester. These individuals have shown incredible spirit as well as a testament to their hard work and are really make this university quite proud. I want to thank them for their dedication and support their strong work ethic and belief in the value of a Western education. We're proud of their accomplishments, and we applaud these employees who have successfully completed another level of their education. I want to call their names, and if you're able to stand and here to be recognized, please do so. Gerald Brooks. There's Gerald. Elise DeCamp. Dr. James Rhodes. Jasper Ballinger. Malia Roberts. Thomas Rossiter, Michael Galea, Dr. Farhang Mutalabi Argi, Nathan Lizick, Danisha Griffey, Ronald Dillard, Stephanie Stanton. How about a round of applause for these two? Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Montgomery. We have now come to the public comment section. Dr. Schuman, are there any public comment requests?
Chair Edgerton, while there is not any for the action items, we do have 3 for the general public comments at the end of the meeting.
At the end of the meeting? Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to action items. We have a number of them. First, we're going to begin with the Leadership Legacy Resolution for Trustee Shawnee Penn. Dr. Schuman?
Sure. Chair Edgerton, Board of Trustees, it's an honor to have an opportunity to lift up this resolution as a tribute and memorial for Shawnee J. Penn, former trustee to Western Michigan University. I ask for your patience and grace as I do plan to read the resolution in its entirety. Whereas the members of this fiduciary body were saddened to learn of the passing of Vice Chair Shawnee J. Penn, a strong advocate for higher education. She loyally represented the people of the state of Michigan and Western Michigan University community with unwavering resolve. And whereas Shawnee J. Penn was a graduate of Western Michigan University, an esteemed resident of Detroit, and a champion to Southeast Michigan. She navigated transformation through consulting in the areas of municipal government, contract negotiations, strategic planning, automotive client relations management, executive training, and streamlining operations. She previously worked for Daimler Chrysler Financial Services, Chrysler Financial, and served as interim chancellor and chief of staff of the Education Achievement Authority, and as senior strategy advisor to the governor to the state of Michigan, and as chief of staff to the emergency manager of the city of Detroit. Whereas Shawnee J. Penn was a steward of service beyond self. She was a board member of the Detroit Public Schools Foundation, the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan, the Detroit Belle Isle Conservancy, and the Detroit Area Pre-College Engineering Program. She was named one of Michigan's Chronicle's Women of Excellence in 2012 and Michigan's Chronicle of Emerging Leaders in 2013. She was selected in 2014 to the American Marshall Memorial Fellowship for the German Marshall Fund of the United States and traveled to Europe with 74 other United States fellows. She was recognized by Crane's Detroit Business as a member of their 2014 40 and under 40 class. In 2016, she was appointed to the Western Michigan University Board of Trustees, and whereas Shawnee J. Penn spent her 7 years on this board championing fiduciary governance to benefit student access to higher education. She regularly advocated on behalf of student issues and learner success. In January 2023, she was elected vice chair. A revered leader within this board, she was vocal regarding student mental health and well-being, student affairs, Greek issues, civil rights and social justice, presidential assessment, alumni recognition, and organizational achievement. Her dedication, persistence, and focus earned the respect and admiration of her colleagues and constituents. And whereas Shawnee J. Penn lived a life dedicated to public service and family, her deep contributions to Western Michigan University, her community, and our state have made a lasting legacy in which her family can take pride. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Western Michigan University Board of Trustees that we offer this expression of our highest tribute to honor the memory of Trustee Shawnee J. Penn, a member of this fiduciary body from 2016 to 2023. And be it further resolved, copies of this resolution be transmitted to the Penn family as evidence of our lasting esteem for her memory and dedication to uphold her leadership legacy. Chair Edgerton, I offer the resolution for vote.
Thank you, Dr. Schuman. Motion for adoption.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, roll call.
Chair Edgerton,
Yes.
Trustee Burris,
Yes.
Trustee Chenzang,
Yes.
Trustee Hoadley,
Yes.
Trustee Trevan,
Yes.
Trustee Turfy,
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, resolution passes.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 10. Dr. Schuman again will lead us through the exercise of appointment of a new vice chair.
I will, thank you. With the vacancy, our bylaws indicate leadership responsibilities within the board, and the board moves forward the recommendation of Trustee Alan Turfy as vice chair. So the recommended action is that the Western Michigan University Board of Trustees elect Trustee Alan Turfy to serve as vice chair for the remainder of the 2023 term.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, roll call?
Chair Edgerton,
Yes.
Trustee Burris,
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang,
Yes.
Trustee Holdley,
Yes.
Trustee Trevan,
Yes.
Trustee Turfy,
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Turfy, congratulations, you're vice chair.
Thank you,
And
Alan.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask Trustee Turfy to take the mic and lead us through an update on the
Sure.
external audit.
I've, It must be hard to hold up that sign. I'll hold it up for you. It's a pleasure. My father was a part-time faculty member, not of Western, but of another university. We're proud of what you did, and your voice is being heard.
I just figured it's maybe easier up there than for you to have to hold it. Okay. I want to thank the fellow audit committee members, Trustee John Holdley, James Schroll, Jenny Colson, and Kim Wishner. It was very, very thorough. The WMU Audit Committee assists the Western Michigan Board of Trustees in fulfilling its oversight responsibilities relating to, number one, the integrity of the university's financial statements and internal control systems. Number two, the external auditor's qualifications and independence. Number three, the performance of the university's external auditors. Four, communication with and oversight of the university's internal audit function. And lastly, number five, matters involving compliance with board policies, including conflict of interest and other matters designated by the chair of the Board of Trustees, the president, treasurer, or assistant treasurer. The Western Michigan University Audit Committee oversaw the 2023 university audit conducted by external auditor Plant & Moran. WMU received a clean, unqualified opinion that is the highest level of assurance that can be provided. The audit was completed on September 22nd, 2023, and the report was accepted by the Audit Committee at its last meeting. Copy is available to all upon request. Any questions? Okay, I'll move to our recommended action. It is recommended that the board accept the 2023 external audit report dated September 22nd, 2023, conducted by Plant Moran.
Second.
Roll call?
I'm sorry, who motioned? I didn't catch
It was
that.
Turfy.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to
Oh,
accept.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Chair Edgerton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Turfy,
Yes.
Trustee Burris,
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang,
Yes.
Trustee Holdley,
Yes.
Trustee Trevan,
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Thank you. I'll next ask Vice President Jan Vanderclay to speak to actually two items, not to throw everybody off on the action things, but also on the 5-year capital outlay, and then move right on to the Lake Michigan College.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. So the state of Michigan requires us to annually submit a 5-year capital outlay plan. And as part of that, there's also the requirement for us to submit and for our Board of Trustees to approve a priority project list. And this priority project list is re-looked at each year, re-examined, inputs received from across campus, the Finance Campus Planning Council for Faculty Senate, the Space Advisory Committee, project interest is obtained from WSA as we meet with them throughout the year. And what we try to do are identify capital projects, usually defined as $1 million or greater, and try to meet the most pressing strategic needs of the university. And we also try to develop projects that are sustainable and environmentally friendly, which is core to our mission. All projects have to be listed. Does not matter if the state will or will not fund them. They can be funded from gifts, borrowings from the university, and any other source. So what you have before you today is the list that we are recommending. It is required to be submitted to the state by the end of October. And as part of this year, we are recognizing Canals Hall as the #1 priority for Western Michigan University. As the chair indicated, it's one of our more aged buildings and is an important need for some upgrades and improvement. So with that, we're recommending to the board that you approve the capital outlay building project priority list as provided in the attached, and that Canals Hall renovation and addition be the top priority project as we do our capital outlay request. And I'd be happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Jan? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Chair Edgerton.
Yes.
Vice Chair Turfy.
Yes.
Trustee Burris.
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang.
Yes.
Trustee Hoadley.
Yes.
Trustee Trevan.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Jan?
So, thank you. So I'm going to move into the conveyance of the facilities located at Lake Michigan College. And I'm going to apologize in advance. It's complex. There were multiple transactions over a number of years. So it's actually a 40,000 square foot building. It's located and was built on Lake Michigan College, LMC's campus, back in 2002. And it followed the normal process that we as a public university engage with the state of Michigan and the State Building Authority, where the state will normally provide up to 75% of a defined project description. University does 25. It usually does not quite equate to that. Building total cost was $8.5 million. Western's cost was $2.4 million. Normal process, the state issues tax-exempt bonds. Western Michigan University issues tax-exempt bonds for our portion. We actually enter into a lease with the state. We transfer over the property, and the state then actually holds title to the property through the life of the bonds. In 2017, Lake Michigan College came to us and were really interested in increasing their footprint in the building. Our usage had declined, also as shared by the chair. Because of the tax-exempt bonds and the role of the state of Michigan and the State Building Authority, we had to enter a really complicated transaction, and we called it the sublease acquisition agreement. So basically, the State and Building Authority gave us their approval to enter into it. It did not change any of WMU's in the state's original transaction. So this kind of got layered on top of it. At the time, Lake Michigan College provided $2.7 million to Western Michigan University, which you could look at acquisition cost. They also covered any of the legal fees and expenses, and they assumed operating responsibility for the building, all costs, and gave us a limited footprint in the building for a 10-year period, no cost to us, which we can renew once for an additional 5 years. So if all of the bonds had stayed in place to 2036, we would not be talking about this today, but the state had really favorable market conditions and paid off their bonds early. And as a result, that original transaction comes back into place. So the state canceled their lease with us, and we're required to pay for them $1. Jeff Brenneman's laughing at this. This has been an archaic process in place for more decades than I can tell you about. And as a result of that, once they receive the $1, they will actually convey the buildings and property to us. Because of our sublease acquisition agreement with LMC, we in turn, once we take ownership, need to do a quitclaim deed and provide everything to Lake Michigan College. So the form of the conveyance resolutions dictated to us by the state, so that's why you have here. Kaler, in his role as secretary to the board, after actions taken, has to follow a very prescribed process to attest that the actions taken. So with that background, we're recommending to the Board of Trustees that you authorize the treasurer and/or assistant treasurer to take all necessary actions to approve and execute all documents with the State Building Authority, the State of Michigan, and/or Lake Michigan College necessary to seek conveyance of the property from the state to Western Michigan University, accept the quitclaim deed from the state, and then issue a quitclaim deed to Lake Michigan College providing title to the property. And I'd be happy to answer questions. I've had to live all three transactions, so I'll be glad when this one is done.
You want any questions,
say.
clarifications? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion.
Okay,
Okay. Chair Edgerton.
yes.
Vice Chair Turfy.
Yes.
Trustee Burris.
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang. Trustee Holdley.
Yes.
Trustee Trevan.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Next up, I'd like to ask Dr. Vasquez-Hillig to take the mic to discuss the starting gate lease agreement.
Thank you. Starting Gate is a student business accelerator program that gives students rich and valuable resources to develop their startup companies and is affiliated with the Hayworth College of Business. The Haymarket Building, which is on 161 Michigan Avenue, has been serving as their home since 2021. On June 23, 2023, the university negotiated a renewal of the lease. These lease terms are consistent with the previous lease, and it is a lease term of 2 years. It is going to be covered by a gift from a local foundation. Rent, utilities, parking, etc. The recommended action is the Board of Trustees approved the WMU Starting Gate lease agreement.
Any questions? No? Entertain a motion?
Move so move.
Okay, roll call.
Chair Edgerton.
Yes.
Vice Chair Turfy.
Yes.
Trustee Burris.
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang. Trustee Holdley.
Yes.
Trustee Trevan.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to item 14. I'd like to invite Vice President of Student Affairs, Diane Anderson, to discuss the proclamation.
It is my distinct honor to present this resolution regarding the Gamma Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated on the occasion of their 75th anniversary. The Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated is a historically African-American fraternity founded on January 5th, 1911 at the Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. The Gamma Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated was chartered on January 30th, 1948 at the then Western Michigan College of Education, making it the first African-American Greek letter organization on our campus. So that's very noteworthy. I wanted to draw that to your attention. With achievement as its fundamental purpose, the Gamma Beta chapter continues to nurture within its members a zeal for leadership, excellence, and an unquenchable desire to achieve in every field of human endeavor. Over the course of the past 75 years, we have seen this demonstrated in the fields of art, athletics, business, education, engineering, law, and the sciences, among others. In addition, the Gamma Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated has exemplified leadership on campus in the areas of social justice, community service, and cultural enrichment for WMU students to grow and develop. To further demonstrate this commitment, the Gamma Beta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated has established the Alumni Legacy Scholarship to provide assistance to deserving undergraduate students with a minimum 2.5 GPA who demonstrate financial need, evidence of leadership, and commitment to community service. And therefore, be it resolved that the Western Michigan University Board of Trustees does hereby proclaim October 13th through 15th, 2023, to be declared as Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated Gamma Beta Chapter 75th Diamond Jubilee Anniversary Weekend at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Thank you. Any questions for Diane? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Roll call?
Chair Edgerton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Turfy,
Yes.
Trustee Burris,
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang,
Yes.
Trustee Holdley,
Yes.
Trustee Trevan,
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Now moving on to the next item, item 16, presidential assessment and compensation. And Trustee Turfy will lead us in the action item.
Thank you. This was a very thorough, it's a team sport, and I want to thank our chair, Shelley Egerton, for supporting me on this, as well as our former chair and fellow Board of Trustee member, Lin Chen Zhang. So I appreciate both your help on this. I'll give you some background and then our recommended action. President Edward Montgomery's employment agreement provides his salary be reviewed at least annually and adjusted as determined by the Board of Trustees. As the Board of Trustees transitions to a revised approach for assessing presidential performance, the Board of Trustees Presidential Compensation and Assessment Committee facilitated a review of the President's leadership performance and recognizes the following leadership accomplishments. Now, as I read this to you all, we recognize it's a team sport. Many of you are here today, from our AD, Dan Bartholomew, to Dr. McCorkle, and so you should all be proud. Our PIO should be proud. Our faculty should also be proud as I read this to you, because, you know, if we look at President Montgomery as our head coach, but you all had a big part of this. Number one, in fall of 2022, Western Michigan University achieved the second largest increase in first time in any college students among any Michigan public universities, 22%, and it's increased market share of new freshmen for the first time since 2017. That's a tribute to not only our president, but to all of you, and I thank you for that. Number two, first time in any college, second-year retention rate at a census rate was 79.8%, a rate topped only once in the past 20 years. The overall retention rate increased 3.3 percentage points over 2022 levels, while among African Americans, Hispanics, and students who identify as two or more races, retention rates were also up 3.1 points, 3.9 points, and 11.7 points, respectively. That's one heck of an accomplishment, and again, thanks to all of you. Number three, WMU faculty members expanded externally funded research expenditures to a record $34.8 million in fiscal year 2023, which is a 22% increase over fiscal year 2022, and have secured 5 patents. I mean, when you think about the future of any university, of our students, of our faculty, that's something to be proud of. And it hasn't been that high in 21 years. So again, this is a team sport. I want to thank all of you for your contributions under our head coach here. Before I give our recommended action, are there any questions? Okay. The Presidential Compensation and Assessment Committee advocates to the Board of Trustees that President Edward Montgomery be recognized and valued for his leadership accomplishments. It is recommended that the President receive a 3% increase to base pay. The President's current salary is $496,631. With this increase, the President's salary will be $511,530, retroactive to July 1 of '23. Further, it is recommended that the president receive a performance bonus in the amount of $24,831.50 and deferred compensation for each of the next 2 years, 23-24, as well as 24 and 25 years. With this performance bonus, the president's deferred compensation will be $118,831.50 for those 2 years. Do I have a second?
Support.
Roll call?
Chair Edgerton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Turfy,
Yes.
Trustee Burris,
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang,
Yes.
Trustee Hoadley, Trustee Trevan,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, motion passes.
Thank you, and thank you, Trustee Turfy and Trustee Lin Chen Zhang. I mean, it's a lot of work to put in there and understand it, but I really want to say that we appreciate the president's leadership and efforts to advance Western in a variety of ways. I'd like to also personally thank Dr. Montgomery and Mrs. Montgomery for giving their time and their philanthropy to WMU with current pledges of more than $37,000, bringing their giving over the period of time up to close to $270,000, maybe more, in support of a variety of initiatives here at WMU, and we certainly appreciate that generosity and continued support. So next up on our agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull off, need to discuss? Anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Move to accept.
Support. Roll call?
Chair Edgerton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Turfy,
Yes.
Trustee Burris,
Yes.
Trustee Chen Zhang,
Yes.
Trustee Hoadley, Trustee Trevan,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Chair Edgerton, consent items pass.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the end of the items, but we do have an opportunity for more public comment. So
We do have 3 speakers, 2 in person and 1 virtual. The first speaker is interim president of the Professional Instructors Organization, Mr. Tim Bober.
Thank you for letting me talk today. Good afternoon. I am Tim Bober, interim president of the Professional Instructors Organization, the Union for Part-Time Instructors. I'm currently teaching a full course load for WMU this semester, which is 3 classes, as I have regularly done for 23 straight years as a WMU instructor. I often teach classes annually for WMU because I teach in the summer as well, and that is more classes taught than most full-time and tenured faculty teach in a year. Part-time instructor is a misnomer, but I digress. I'm also the lead negotiator for our collective bargaining with Western Michigan University. I'm here today to update you on the status of our negotiations of our wage reopener with WMU. We have been meeting since early July, and I am disappointed to have to share with you some of the treatment we have received in the last 3 months. But first, let me tell you a brief story about the last Board of Trustees meeting. When I finished my speech then, which included the impact that part-time instructors make on students, a student who had been sitting in front of me the whole time turned to me and said, "Hi, I just wanted to tell you that I took your class, and I thought you were my best professor at Western. So much so that I told my friend, and he took your class." He points to a student 3 seats down, turns around, smiles, and waves and said, "Yeah, I did. I loved it." But you know what he said next? He said, quote, "I had no idea you were paid like that." "Oh my God," was his next words. "I really hope they pay you." These are aeronautics students who are graduating, being recognized for their achievements, randomly sitting in front of me. Administrators have privately told me, "We need to get you paid," but that doesn't seem to be happening, not even close. At the negotiating table, our PIO arguments are being ignored. WMU has presented no data to justify their proposals besides that a 4.8% raise is good or normal. A 4.8% raise is good for professors making $60,000 to $100,000, but not for PIO professors who make $20,000 or less. I made $1,000 per credit hour in 2002, and I now make $1,050 per credit hour. All of us can do the math. It's easy to conclude that our current pay and proposals passed during negotiations are unacceptable to our members. Let me tell you what their latest offer means in the most simplest way. WMU is offering us $150 more per class. That's it. It's unacceptable. Now, this is their second and most current offer, this last offer was only $24 more per class than their previous offer. President Montgomery has just been given a raise that is bigger than most PIO annual salaries. The president makes more in 2 weeks than a PIO member does teaching 3 classes in the fall and 3 classes in the spring. $150 more per class is wildly low considering we've been in negotiations for 12 weeks. I would like to take the next minute to share with you some of the things that have been said at the table in July and August. We have been repeatedly told, you are only part-timers. When we try to ask what exactly they mean by that, since our negotiations are about pay and not about how many classes we teach, they ignore us. Literally. They do not answer us. What they seem to suggest is that by saying we are only part-timers is that we should only be paid about half of what any other professor teaching the same class would get because we are only part-timers. WMU negotiators are constantly typing on their tablets while we present our research data and arguments and doing Google research at the table instead of listening to us. It is no surprise that WMU negotiators sent PIO an email recently where WMU made an entirely erroneous argument based on WMU's inability to hear PIO say at the table that teaching 3 classes in the fall and 3 classes in the spring is a full course load for PIO members and not full-time work. PIO has discussed this distinction close to 12 times at the table. It is truly disturbing that WMU, after almost 3 months of talks, is unable to participate in discussions of something so basic. We feel ignored. They also said, and this is close to verbatim, we don't pay PIO a living wage. Western Michigan University made a surplus $2.7 million last year, is sitting on $1.1 billion of reserves, gets over $100 million from the state of Michigan, has an operating budget of over $220 million, but can't find $2.5 million extra to help pay its teachers a living wage. Cruelty. It seems like needless cruelty. We've had our pay frozen since fall of 2020, and inflation since then is 18.6%. Western is offering us 4.8%. 4.8% is tantamount to a pay cut. And most concerning of all, and this should be concerning to every professor who sees this talk today, WMU has outright told us that we are only being paid for 15 weeks. Are you kidding me? That means WMU is insisting on not paying us to prepare our classes, our online course shells, our research and updating for the semester, our syllabus production. WMU has also told us that they will not pay us to grade or submit final grades after the final exam week. I'm calling on the Board of Trustees and the proper administrators at WMU to do what they have to do to pay us a living wage immediately and end these negotiations. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Bilber. Next, we have Catherine Hart-DeCoe.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Catherine Hart-DeCoe, the Interim Communications Officer for the PIO, and along with Tim Bober, our Interim President, part of the bargaining team. I'm here today to speak on behalf of our members to directly share with you 5 personal stories and fresh reactions to Western's arguments. 1. When taking into consideration the level of effort and amount of time required to prepare for and execute a meaningful class, it is not just striking but distressing to realize the rate I was paid is less than what I pay my nanny for childcare. 2. The base wage was $700 in 1999 and is still only $10.50 now, 24 years later. How much has Western's tuition gone up in that time? 400%? More? The disparity is galling, to say the least, and this feels like any time we spend working outside of class is entirely unpaid when our wage is so low. My work-life balance is worse than ever. The rent for a modest house near campus is now triple what I paid for it 20 years ago, and we all need additional jobs just to make ends meet. 3, a Western alum and veteran instructor. I feel like I have made a donation of my 40s to Western. I spent that decade climbing the ladder, building my reputation, getting more and better appointments and better pay. The year I filled in for a full-time faculty member, I received a glowing review. The following year, nearly all of that was taken from me, and our contract offered no protection for my seniority and experience. I am now literally being asked to teach the same courses that a few years ago I was paid 41% more to teach. How is that moral or just? How do these administrators sleep at night knowing this is the way they treat their instructors? 4, from another Western grad. As far as I'm concerned, this place owes me money. So much extra work was required of us to move our classes online in 2020 and then continue to offer hybrid options even after in-person classes resumed, extra work for which we were never compensated. We were told in 2021 that the university was in dire straits and absolutely could not afford to raise our pay, and then we watched Montgomery and his cabinet of suits turn around and give themselves multiple raises and bonuses, while for the 8th semester in a row, the wage I earn here has less buying power. It's despicable. Western says their offer is already a fair, competitive wage for this market, and that there are candidates in Florida who are eager to teach remotely for this pay, and that it's unreasonable and unrealistic for us to expect more. Well, I also teach a 3-credit course at a small private liberal arts college in this market, and there I am paid twice as much per week. 5, I received my first paycheck for this academic year teaching the same 9 credit hours I did in spring 23, and my check was $8 less than it was in April. I am pissed. I understand it is only $8, but it is less nonetheless. Not only am I teaching the exact same class load, I have also spent over 65 hours, seemingly voluntarily, redesigning a course for the department. This is not what I signed up for. This will absolutely be my last stint teaching part-time for Western. I did not earn my PhD for this treatment. They should be grateful for us, and instead, they are exploiting us. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Mr. Justin Mendoza, virtually.
Hello, thank you to the trustees and the board here for allowing public comment today. My name is Justin Mendoza. I'm a Kalamazoo County resident and a concerned citizen around public safety, both on campus and around. On September 19th, 2023, just 9 days ago, an article was published in the American Independent which described communications sent out from a former Western Michigan University student in 2001, where he threatened the life of another student over some college government issues that were going on at the time. He named a weapon that he would be using in order to threaten this man's life, and then later stated to police that this was in fact a death threat. Following the police statement, the article goes on to say that an internal office at Western Michigan University pursued disciplinary actions, but does not indicate what actions were pursued. The reason I raise this is this individual is State Representative Matt Hall, a very prominent figure here in Michigan, and importantly, at the time when he was a student, clearly a danger to other students that were involved with the campus. I think this is a very serious set of allegations that were published, including quotes that I will not repeat here because I do think death threats should not be repeated in public. But those quotes that were investigated would be incredibly helpful to the public to understand what disciplinary actions were pursued back in 2001 when this incident took place, and what would happen today if a member of the student government at Western Michigan University were to issue death threats on their campus email to other students. It would be helpful for us to understand where the university stands on public safety, and I hope that this body will investigate that.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. You know, here at Western, we take student safety very seriously, and why these events occurred 20 years ago. I think it's important for us all to hear again, you know, what we do in today, and I'd like to ask Vice President Diane Anderson to talk about what we do in today's current situation.
I appreciate the opportunity. Excuse me. The safety of our students is paramount for us. We take the safety of our students and our entire campus body very seriously. The environment we live in now is even more, it's more stressful in many ways than it was 20 years ago, what the incident he referred to occurred. So we are very vigilant about campus safety for our students. We are both proactive and responsive. So we do a lot of things to make sure students understand what they need to do to keep themselves safe, but we also respond if there's any incident that would mean that they are not feeling safe. So it all starts with expectations. Our student code of conduct lays out specifically what we expect of our students as members of our campus community. And so it's really important that our students understand what those expectations are. So we really spend a lot of time educating them about that. We also know that our students themselves are diligent about their own safety. If you recall, and I think President Montgomery mentioned it in his remarks earlier today, our student government was the one that advocated for better lighting in the Fraternity Village where we had an incident a couple years ago. So our students have learned to be very proactive about safety themselves, which I applaud. The other thing that we do, our health promotion and education department for many years has offered what we refer to as bystander training, and that really focuses on if you see something, say something. If you see something that doesn't look right, doesn't seem right, speak up. We really have been very focused on making sure that all of us take responsibility so that our students, when they're out and about, if their gut is telling them something's not right, they need to speak up so that we can respond. We're a community of about 20,000 students and employees, so basically a small city. So we are really needing to be prepared for a whole spectrum of events. The thing that I feel really great about, and I'll talk to parents about this at parent and family programs, we have 33 sworn officers in our accredited public safety department. Our families know that our campus is very safe. Our public safety just does a phenomenal job. Our students feel very safe in the residence halls on our campus, and we're very proud of that fact. But we don't take that lightly. We have to continue to be diligent. But again, our public safety does a great job. So we care about every student. We want to make sure that this place is safe, and it takes all of us to pay attention and to monitor. And the specific case that he mentioned, we can't go into any details about those kinds of things because they're protected by FERPA. I know he asked for specific information. We're not legally allowed to do that, nor would we, because that's a private matter between the student and the university. So I just wanted to mention that too, because he specifically was asking us to provide information that we cannot do. So I think it's important that people are aware of that as well. So happy to answer any other questions, but I just thought that would give you a little bit of an overview of how seriously we take the issue.
Yep, thank you, Diane. I think Trustee Hoadley?
So just as a follow-up, though, for Dr. Anderson, so I'm hearing that, but let's, like, looking forward, if someone were to make a threat now, what would be the types of things we put in place? How would that be responded to now?
Well, if a student made a threat, we would clearly investigate it. We would work with our Department of Public Safety. Our Office of Student Conduct would review it. And basically, we would then have a hearing. The student would face a panel of people that would hear the case. And depending on the details, a sanction would be provided. The other thing that's important that you know, and I do not hesitate to do this, we also will do interim suspensions. If we believe a student is an imminent threat, where we believe that other people's lives are in danger, we will institute, either Dr. Retha Ravindran or I can offer what is referred to as interim suspension, and that means that student is off campus. We tell them they have to leave. They come back. We work to have a meeting with the student within 3 days so that we can tell them what their rights are, and then we do the hearing as expeditiously as possible. But if a person is a danger on our campus, we do not want them here. If it's in the residence hall, same thing. We will get them out of the residence hall because it's critical that our students and their families know that they're safe on our campus.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Thank you, Diane. We appreciate that update. At this time, I'll entertain any other comments. Nope. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Stay. Thank you all very much. Just a reminder, 1 o'clock, we're going to have a student center dedication in the ballroom basically next door. So, thank you. Hope to see some of you there.